All right, welcome to another episode of In Those We Trust podcast. I am Malik Howard. I currently have the queen with me, Catherine, my girlfriend with me.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Malik.
Hello, Catherine. Um, so for this episode, this is a very special episode. And in this episode, we're kind of going to change the language of it. And instead of In Those We Trust, it's going to be In Women We Trust. And this is something I want to create. I want to create this segment really based on just understanding women as a whole, and really take the time to get different perspectives and things like that out there.
Right. And I think that it'll be a little bit of background in our relationship and how we've grown through
Mm-hmm.
um, the trials and tribulations for the past 6 years.
100%.
So that'll be, and then, I mean, just a little bit of my insight and then the influence I've had from different women in my life who I
Yeah,
trust.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
who have also become part of your family and your
Mm-hmm.
life.
Yeah, so we can go ahead and we should get started with like just a small cap of what our relationship has been within the last 6 years. Wow, that's so crazy to say. Within the last 6 years and what um, that has been. We have been through a lot of the transition phases of what college is, especially what college and high school and now into the real world, even though we're still in school, but what that looks like and what's that change has been over time for us. So if you want to start off, I'll give you the floor.
So we started dating senior year of high school,
Mm-hmm.
right? A month before graduation, and our first year was college. And I went to the community college, and you were doing EOF, so it was based in Camden. Um, Handoff. I would say that our first year was really nice because we actually did take the time to get to know each other. We did start dating really soon after talking, but we um we were
Yeah,
both growing and
yeah.
exploring, so I don't think we held each other back in any aspect. Um and then, all throughout college, I would say that was a little more challenging. You
Mm-hmm.
were my first boyfriend, so I think a lot of that has to do with just how I was able to it was just a different experience. It was a different type of commitment for me.
Yeah.
I've been a loyal person, so it was almost like I waited for you, I chose you, and then I was gonna make it work with you.
So it wasn't the fact that you never had a boyfriend or anything like that. It was just like a total new experience in itself. Like it was so different than anything that has happened in this whole encompass of itself.
Right. And, like I said, you were my first boyfriend. So I was also going through a really weird period of my life. My parents weren't together anymore.
Mm,
And I've always been really super family oriented. But I think it kind of happened all at the right time. I was able to now get to know you, spend time with you, do things with you. Where I think it
mm.
would have been really different if my family situation at home was not what it currently turned into.
Yeah, thinking of that like perspective, like that's a huge like change in like just your at home life, and then the change in me coming into that time. Like we both came into each other's lives at, like a pivotal point in our lives. Like, we
Mm-hmm.
both say that, like, with all that was going on at home, at home life at the time, and then for you, it was your world was finally getting turned upside down for like the first time. Like it was just everything going on within your household, and then me coming into that picture was totally different.
Yeah.
So that threw a wrench in there. So now we graduated from high school, and now we're in college, and we're trying to maneuver through still learning to be with each other, because that was our
Mm-hmm.
first year. Our first year we went from high school into college.
Right.
So now we made that transition of, okay, what's next? What's going to be the picture for us through this time? And I think you were important in like setting the boundaries, setting the standards of like what's going to be next for us coming during our college careers in separate schools. Where
Right.
I commuted the first year, so that was okay. It was okay. But then the second year, where we speak of, our second year was very, very, very like rough. Like is where we went
It
through a lot
was.
of
I
our.
think 2 to 3 was our hardest patch. And I think just because we've always been individuals. So, but I feel like a lot of people would feel like we're we've always been a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when they think about Malik, they're like, oh, Kat and Malik. Or when they think about Kat, oh, Malik and Kat.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was a trying time where we had to stay true to who we were and what we wanted,
Yeah.
because we were still trying to figure it out, right? But it
Yeah.
was different friend groups, different interests, curricular activities, extracurricular activities.
Mm-hmm.
So still finding the time to do all of what college is supposed to be, fun and free, and then being committed and loyal to this relationship where it was hard. I think I don't think the hardest part was being in the relationship. I kind of just think it was blending both of our worlds aside of.
Nah. So, being in a relationship, and really what I wanted to hit on too, like it's two totally different people coming in there. So always say like opposites attract. So what was the difference you think in like, or how was it balancing like my personality compared to your personality in itself?
Okay, so we definitely have different personalities.
Yeah.
I mean, like, no two people in the world are the same. Do we complement each other? I definitely think so. I've always been mature and responsible, like from a very young age. So like when you
Yeah, it's
said
so
I was
funny how like I was always known as like, being a very mature person. And you yourself, like you had to grow up quick, and like that was, I wouldn't say you had to grow. Yeah, you did have to grow quick with like learning how to like just pay bills and speak up for your family and things like that. Like you had to be the one to like grow up and step up within your household too.
right, and a lot of it was us figuring things out for the first time.
Hmm.
So,
So then bouncing personalities.
yeah, so I think we were both really responsible, um, outgoing, and I think that's what allowed us to come together.
Yeah, we were so, both of us were like so career driven,
Right,
like scholarly driven. So like we know we don't know what's next, but we know like we're on this path for like whatever may be next for the both of us, really.
right, and we were intentional,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like we faced hardships. You not getting into university, me choosing to just do RCBC,
Yeah.
um, and then not even knowing if I could get into the program that I wanted to.
Yeah.
So we definitely both faced those
Adversities.
adversities. Wow. Um,
Adversaries.
adversities. And did we balance each other? Obviously,
Yeah.
because I mean, I feel like you were good at being there for me, but I think that has to be one of our weaknesses in the relationship. Like I depend on you to uplift me, like when I'm low.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely do.
Yeah.
And I feel like you kind of will be upset and just suck it in and hold it out. And, I could try to comfort you and everything, but that doesn't really work for you. You need time and space. Like for
Yeah.
me, if you just come cuddle me, like, oh, thanks, I feel better.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's, wow. Yeah, you're right, because we're totally different in that sense of like, um, I think it was hard for me in the beginning to be that person that had to like fill your cup at all times. And I always felt like, okay, I'm always having to fill her cup, but I always feel like I'm taking from me and it's taking a lot from me. To
Mm-hmm.
whereas now I learned that like you're not taking from me, like, you know what I mean, like you're yourself, and that's how you heal. And that I had to learn that like you weren't taken out of my cup. You weren't one of those people, like, you see those posts and it's like, don't be with someone that's just taking and not
Mm-hmm.
giving back to you, because you still are putting into my cup on a daily basis, words of affirmation, and through the, the woes that we go through in life, like your bucket, I have to presently fill your bucket to where it's like
Right.
you.
Because when I overflow to you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I would definitely say that. So then within that, as a woman in a relationship, how do you feel that like you have grown and brought growth, like, or seen growth within me with you being a woman in a relationship?
um, Damn, did I help you out? I would definitely say that I'm. I can wholeheartedly say I'm proud of the man you have become.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely still struggle
Yeah.
today. Like it's difficult, and those are just like the more you grow up and the more you live, you realize that you hold these like um traumatic experiences, and then just the way you grew up, like how you think. If you guys hear our dog,
Yeah, Briscott.
that's
He's so extra.
Briscan. He's resting.
He's so extra, dude.
um
You would think he worked like a 12-hour shift today.
right, but back to what I was saying, you like we both definitely still struggle, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like we've been able to, and I don't want to lose focus. What was it that you said again?
What was bouncing within, like, what was the biggest growth
Oh, for me,
that
right?
has
And I
come?
have seen in you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it's been taking the time, I think, to listen and acknowledge a little bit more. I
Mm.
feel, and we still have our trials, but I don't think that I could have been and stayed in a relationship with you if I didn't feel valued, or if I feel I didn't have a place.
Yeah.
Because I know who I am as a woman,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I've been super independent. Like, if I put something to my mind, like, mind you, I'll complain, I'll struggle, and I'll do a whole, like, it's the end of the world. But, like, if I don't come through the other side, it's not cat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? So, like, I know I can do that by myself. Like, I know I can grow up, get a car. I know I can get a job. I know
Mm-hmm.
I can get a house. Like, I know I can travel. Like, since a little girl, I've always wanted to travel by
Yeah.
myself. And I'm just like, if somebody were to tell me, hey, Kat, pick up and leave right now and you won't be able to see your family for another year, I'd be like, deuces.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just it's been easy for me to feel that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
I'm a Sagittarius. So that's just like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm wanderlust. Like, I can go anywhere at any time. And I think the moment I discovered for myself that you were a big part of my life was when I was like, damn, I don't want to go without Malik.
Yeah. So then your plans, like, within me and dating each other, is like, okay, we come as a package, and like in itself that it's us two, and no matter what we do, and thinking of the future, like you're thinking about us in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So then touching in that, um in a relationship there are two different aspects of, like, that's just the way it is, like, and I'm not a machismo man, like, and I don't believe in, like, the woman has to be in the kitchen, the man has to, do your work, so like, I don't believe in that stuff.
And I think you struggle with your tendencies sometimes where I'm like, please check yourself or acknowledge
In,
this is
in
my
what aspect?
vulnerability. Um just like like I get super emotional when my period is coming.
Okay.
Or like if I'm just like I need help, or like I can be direct, like I need help, or I want you to do this, and you'll just be like tough up, get over it, do it, and I'm just like that's not what I want to hear. Like I can tell myself that.
Because, okay, so then where I'll touch on that is because the rest of the 20 or so days of the month, I get that. Not that I don't need a man, Catherine, but I get that I can do it. I'm strong. I got this shit. So it's hard for me to, like, recognize it. Okay, time is changing the month. I have to recognize what she's going through, her hormones, things like that, and that's hard for me to do as well. To where I have to make that transition and be like, all right, I gotta show up. I understand that, like, and that might be like after the fact. That's we may have an argument, whatever. That I'm like, okay, like that's my reasoning behind, like, why the fuck that wasn't that, like, why didn't I recognize that portion of it? Because it
Mhm.
changes within you, like week to week. Like one week you'll be a superwoman, the next week you'll be like, I don't want to do anything. I just need my man to hold me. You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
different. So I deal with those changes in perspectives. So then what my question was, like, as a woman, do you feel that, like, there was certain pressures or certain things that you, like, couldn't believe that, like, you stepped up and you're like, wow, I can't believe I'm actually, like, cooking for this guy. Like, I can't believe, like, something like that's small, but like as a woman, like, you just step into these roles.
Yeah, for sure. You are lazy as hell. Like you love everything to be given to you. Like, oh, thanks for the food. Where's the fork? How am I supposed to eat this? You'll say something like that where I'm like, get up. You know, like I'm already getting up,
I
and
see what
it
you're saying.
comes from
Yeah.
my heart to get up and cook you a meal.
Yeah.
And I've always been that person. Like
Yeah.
to this day, they'll be like, "No, can you cook?" I'd be like, "Cook something.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
cook something for us."
Yeah.
Like I've always had to. So I think that just comes with, again, how I grew up and how I matured really young, because that's why I had to take that independent. That's why I had to take that, I'm this boss, and whatever I want, I'm going to go for it and I'm
Yeah.
going to get it.
Yeah.
And I brought that to our relationship in multiple ways. Was me cooking a meal for you ever hard for me? Absolutely not. Was me picking up and doing laundry? Absolutely not. But do I expect the same from you?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I did it. Now you do that.
Yeah.
Or come and help me. My biggest thing is like, I don't want to do it alone. So come and help me. Even if I'm doing the bed, I'm like, you go on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. You do. Yeah. That pisses me off more than anything. Like I'll be
Mm-hmm.
sitting there, and I'm like, cause when I look at it, when I do something, I do it on my own. And like if I make the bed, I make the bed by myself. If I watch this, I watch this by myself. But like the one aspect where I kind of agree with you in is like when you're cooking, like I shouldn't just, be sitting there watching TV. Like I should
Right.
be right
Malik
there with you.
loves to go watch videos. I'm like, can you just at least sit in the room with me? Like, talk to me. Like, I haven't seen you.
Okay. So then, within like understanding, any man that's about to go in a relationship with a woman, like what you need to understand going into it is, this is a woman, or like let's just say in high school, you were going into womanhood. You were just fresh, like going into like
Mm-hmm.
establishing yourself as a woman outside of academics. You weren't just a
Right.
student
Just
anymore.
setting the type of
Yeah.
relationship I want. Because you go through it. I can tell you personally, firsthand, I know the traumas and experiences of different women who are in abusive relationship or
Mm-hmm.
toxic relationships,
Mm-hmm.
or, just like don't know how to fend for themselves. And I live that with my family,
Yeah.
like straight up, like
Mm-hmm.
live that with my family. So you always talk out of your mouth and like, boy, I wish, or I hope he did. And not that like I've ever had to or tempted you, but I'm like, Malik, that's one thing that we're not gonna do.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we've been there several times, right?
Yeah.
And that's just because of your upbringing and the different dynamics you had with your family.
Mm-hmm.
But like yelling for me is like a no go, because I yell. Like if you yell, I will yell at you 10 times harder. And you could say one thing, I will dig the dagger all
Mm-hmm.
the way in.
Yeah.
Like you set me off, I'm fuel to your
Mm-hmm.
fire,
Mm-hmm.
So like, and those are things that I've had to try to learn and live and go through and change about myself, because it's not something I want, and
Yeah.
it's not something that I like for our relationship. So that's always been like, a take and give on our part, where it's like, all right, Malik, so this is what we're not going to do, because I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
You can try A, B, and
Yeah.
C,
Yeah.
and we'll move forward. And we had to do that in several occasions.
100%. So in within that portion, like, what should men know? Like when when you start dating a woman, you're just all you can think about is like, okay, I hate when people say don't judge a book by its cover, because that's life.
Right. I
And
only judge books by the covers.
yeah, and that
Like all these books have been judged by the covers.
yeah, but with you, there's a different portion within that. To where I say you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. But for me, is when you look at a female, you always go by looks, and vice versa for a man. Like you're not attracted to someone. You first off, your looks attract you to someone. That's off key. Off for that's just
Right.
what my belief is. Your
Well,
looks
and I
attract
mean,
someone.
first off, you can be attracted to somebody because they're kind. Oh, that person was so sweet. Like that
Yeah.
was
Okay.
nice.
So then you go into that, and then that's where
Right.
my portion is like, okay, like I was attracted to you. Um, I saw you as like a girl that's beautiful, and then like just walk the halls, and then when I got to know you and I saw your aura, the way you walk, just the little things, and that's what magnifies it. So then that's where I understand like don't judge a book by its cover, because there's so many badass women out there, and then you get to know them, you're like, yo, your personality is shit. I do not want to even be around
Right.
you. So then
And you
with the
didn't like me at first, so
no, I didn't. I when I first met you within that first day, yeah. Well, then once I got to know you in class, and we had like an incident where like I spilled soda, and Kat can never shut her mouth and has to speak on every situation. She like jumped at me and was like, "Are you like, you don't know how to clean up this mess. Da da da. You're not doing this right. You're not doing this right.
Because he was laughing as the soda was still spilling off of the chair, and I'm like, flip the can up. Like, stop your problem.
Yeah. So I was like, off the rip, I didn't like you. But again, if I guess this kind of contradicts my what I just said. Don't judge a book by its cover. But within that, like I looked at you and that's
We'll take
all.
the time to judge the book
Yeah.
beyond its cover, I
Yeah,
guess is what we can
exactly.
say.
But within that, did you like what do you think for men to understand like, you're going into this new relationship with a woman. Like what did you feel like I had to learn or like you had to teach me going into that perspective? Like you're beginning to date me. You're getting to know me. I'm not just like every other woman out there. And I had to learn those lessons. Like I had an ex-girlfriend. I had been with other women. I had dated before, but it was like totally different than ever being with any other woman. Like, what was that? What is one thing you can teach a man? Like, this is what you should take the time to discover before you just jump to thinking that she's every other girl.
Right. I don't know. I guess you can answer that after we decide.
He's gonna start barking.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Go, keep going, man. You go.
But I guess for me and for us, the biggest thing was, I don't know. It wasn't just me, right? Like once you started talking and dating me, it was like, oh, then it was my sister, and then it was my mom, and then it was my dad, and then it was my family.
I
Like
hear you saying.
it's just like, and everybody's gonna be at a different phase in the relationship. Like for me, that's just where I happened to be, right?
Yeah.
Like my family was a big part of um who who I was.
Yeah.
So take the time. Number one, I feel like we took a lot of time
What do you mean?
to get to know each other,
Oh, okay.
right? To get to know each other and to develop our relationship. Like it wasn't just like oh, because couples do this, do that. Like we've taken the time and we've allowed ourselves to be individuals. So I feel like a lot of times, like especially young guys, you're like, no, I want you to do this, and like I've been told that this is what girls do and blah blah blah. Like no, you have to allow her to show you who she is and show you her needs and
Yeah.
show you what she wants, because
Yeah.
everybody's going to be different. So in particular us, what I say, one thing that I had to teach us is you were always respectful. You were always very respectful, very like a gentleman.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think that we ever lacked that. Like you opened the door for me. I remember you paid for me. You were just sweet. But once we started not looking eye to eye, we kind of butted heads. So it was more of a like, you're going to have to understand my experience and where I come from, and you're going to need to listen to that. Like, I think for you, it was kind of all like, because it was so okay at the beginning and good at the beginning, we always just thought, oh yeah, that's just going to be fine. Or if I raise my voice, she'll simmer down. No, I won't. Like I said before.
Yeah. Yeah, I did have to learn that one.
Yeah, I am fuel to your gas. So like light me up and I'll explode. I think it was just that, as much as I had to. I think that you can answer that for me and everything that I had to learn.
Yeah, I would definitely say like me dating a new girl, like I think like for any man like going into it, like understanding that like you can't judge this girl against any other girl. Like I think
The comparisons.
comparing any girl to another girl is just the stupidest thing to do. Luckily, I didn't do that. But I see that happen and that mistake being made. Like, okay, I did this in the past. It'll just work for her as well. I think secondly,
it's funny because you do switch it up. I'm like, oh, why didn't you do that for me?
oh yeah, stupid. The second thing, is like I agree with you. Taking the actual time, we took so much time to understand like the minuscule little things in our relationship, and we did that. Like we took the time to like get to understand each other's family life, what each other's interests were, what we chose to put our time and energy in. But we also took the time to understand like, okay, we don't have to move so fast. Like we started dating quick. Like that was a fast like just we started talking and 2 weeks later we were dating. So
it was 2 weeks.
I guess
It
yeah.
was like a month.
Hell no, bro. We started talking in May, and we were dating May 5th.
We did not start talking in May, Malik.
I couldn't tell you, but okay.
We went to prom in March and started dating in May.
No, prom is not in March. You're
Okay.
wilding, son. But we took the time, regardless, afterwards. Like, we took the time to actually get to know one another and get to know, like, the little intricate things that make you you. So, like, I came in at a pivotal time of, like, your things were going on in your family. So, I was seeing, I was perceiving the way you are and what makes you you. Um, and that was one of the things, like, I internalized just getting to know you. You know, why is she so fiery? Why is she, like, so, like, what is her passions and things
Mhm.
like that, and that's what drove me to, like, what's next within us
Right.
and thinking in the future. So then going in that, like, within, like, where we developed our own future goals and what we thought the future was. um what do you see, like, when you were going into this relationship, like, what the future holds, like, going forward?
Every year it's crazy, right? That it's
Yeah,
been another year. Like this year it's gonna be 6 years. And I could honestly full heartedly say that I did not go in a relationship thinking I was gonna marry you
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
dating to marry you, you know? Like it just I was young. I was like, oh, let me have a boyfriend and see what
Yeah.
this is about. But I don't think it took too long in being able to give us that space to become one another. And then yeah, we're young adults, but man, do we know what we want and are we on a track?
Hmm.
Like we did what we thought was right and what we had to do. We went to college, we graduated college. I got a job now, still going back to college. You're getting your master's. Like it's all been part of a plan that we've kind of created for each other. And like for you it's big to for you to do your doctorate. And I want that. I want
Hmm.
to be with you because I see how motivated and driven you are. Like, I want to get through everything.
Hmm.
I want to get through getting our first place. I want to get through getting each other Teslas. Like, I don't want a big wedding, but I want to marry you,
Hmm.
Like, I want to raise a kid. A kid.
Good job.
And, um, and I see that. Like,
Hmm.
it's, and I'm always also a person where, like, I don't know what tomorrow might say. I love you with all my heart, but hey, if it's not going to work out and we're no longer complimenting and growing and allowing each other to be happy, then we'll have to deal with that when it
Hmm.
comes. Like it's going to suck because it's been 6 years for
Yeah,
us
yeah,
already,
yeah,
but I wouldn't stop that, right? So I think that freedom of allowing each other and not like trapping each other, just
yeah.
feeling
That's
comfortable
one thing we
together.
always said. We always said, like, no matter what, like, if we are just not happy, that, like, we have no problem that even if we have the certain amount of years in of leaving at any point in time.
Right. Which I think is weird.
It's weird, but it's like
But
you
I
see
think
so many
that's how
people be
much we love each other.
yeah,
Like I'd love to see you be happy and get everything that you want. And
yeah,
that's weird.
yeah, yeah. No, there's so many people that we see that are just together and are that have been together for like 20 plus years and they hate each other.
Right.
Like, no, like, I don't ever want to be
That's what
that
we don't
couple.
want.
You never
Right.
want to be that couple. So like you mentioned, like, you're in now. You're a woman in the corporate world. Like, you're in the working world now,
I
and
wish corporate.
not corporate, but in the working world. So, um, what has that been like? That transition of, you working in um the working world, and being a woman, and that's also a minority, Spanish, speak Spanish, and in engineering. Like, what has that, like,
Right. I
encompassed in
have like
itself?
so not only am I a woman, I'm a minority and then I'm in a white male dominated field.
Dominant, yeah.
So I think there's a new terminology because that's like triple minority on top. It's like intersectionality. And I'd love to
Okay.
do more research on that cuz I don't know,
I
but
feel that.
I
I'm
saw it
starting to
mentioned.
understand it. Yeah.
Right. So, what has it been like for me?
Yeah, just for any woman that's out there and that's about to go into, like, the workforce, like, what did you experience, like, going into, you work for a company that you love, like, you love that
I
environment, you
do.
love the work, so, like, that perspective a lot of people won't have, but, like,
Right.
what is that for you, like, what has it been
But
like?
I think you can find that. And for me, again, it happened early on, and I was able to have an internship where I've been with my company for what 3 years before I
Yeah,
started full time.
100%. Yeah.
Like that's a treat, right? I
Yeah.
don't think a lot of people can say that, but have they been a part of my success and my story?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it is difficult. And this again comes my whole, like I'm a boss.
Hmm.
And I knew I was going to get it, like I didn't apply anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I didn't apply anywhere else. And but I was offered a position, so I took it. And not only like not just because it was my only option, but because it's where I saw myself.
Mm.
Right? So let's go back to being a minority and a woman. I do go through that imposter syndrome, right?
Touch
Because
on that. What is that? Yeah.
where it's just like, am I really an engineer right
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
I've even had like, and listen, this is like, maybe I won't even touch on it, but it's just like, oh, you're an engineer, just like that type of response that I've gotten from people. I'm like, yeah, I am. Like,
It's
the
just
work
not.
I do.
It's not the quote unquote what's expected for you
Right.
to be doing. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But I've also had a lot of support on the way. I can't sit here and say that people were able to break me down because number one, I never did it for anybody else but
Yeah.
myself. Right. I never did it for anybody but the pride that I knew that it would bring to me and my close friends and family, right?
Yeah.
I accomplished that because I wanted to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Was it difficult? Yes, because number one, it was first generation. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
an older sister, but she didn't actually graduate college. So it was also a different time where everything was different. I had to figure out how to do all that FAFSA, how to apply.
Bro, when I saw a post, it was like, I am tired of fast food coming into my household every summer and ruining my household because I forget my password. Like, dude, like that dead ass was me and my dad. Like, until my dad was like, write your password in your phone,
Yeah.
and so you don't
And
forget
look,
it.
you had your dad.
Yeah,
My mom does not know
100%. Yeah.
nothing.
That
So
taxes portion, like,
oh
I
my god,
wouldn't
I
know
was
what
like,
to do.
please just do your taxes. And
Yeah,
thank God, my parents did their taxes and everything. But I struggled with that too because when my parents got separated and everything, it was like my dad doesn't live in my house. Like
yeah,
you want to come check my house,
yeah,
Okay, but so beyond that, and then it was everybody always told me go to college, right? But nobody ever told me
like what
what
to
it
do.
entailed, what to
Yeah, yeah,
do, or like what to be,
yeah,
you know. So that was definitely hard because I still feel like, and I don't want to say I regret it because I also believe that like I am where I am right now because that's where I'm supposed to be.
yeah,
And if I would have done anything differently, like it just wouldn't have turned out to be what I needed.
yeah. Well, so then when you went into becoming an engineer, like, when you were in college, what did you see like as a woman compared to like a lot of other people? Like, it's a white male dominated field.
And
So,
that's a fact.
yeah. So then, like, what was that experience like? Luckily, like, I would go to class, and when I would go to my history class, it was white dominant as well.
Hmm.
But I never felt like there was probably times where I felt like, damn, like I don't know all this. Like they know way more than me. I'm
Oh,
just
I
not
felt like
prepared.
that. I still feel like that.
Yeah.
I still feel like that. And I think that's one of the biggest things I struggle with because we kind of, like we weren't told we could do that. And not only that, but like, again, I don't see myself in that. So, like, who do I go to?
Yeah.
I'm going to go talk to this, like this white kid who was like, oh, yeah, my dad's an engineer and his dad was an engineer too. I'm like, shit, like, I don't have anybody in
Mm,
my family who was an engineer like
yeah.
that. So, like, that's what I was going to touch on. Like, I don't love living in my marginalized identity. So I see beyond that, right? And I see beyond my color and
You should love living in that though.
I don't I'm going to tell you why I don't. I don't because you know that in this world, in this America, you don't need me to tell you that I'm a woman and you don't
Mhm.
need me to tell you that I'm brown.
Mhm.
Like that's who I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's who I come up to in every room, in
Mhm.
every classroom, in
Yeah.
every project. That's what I am,
Mhm.
right? So, what do I pride myself in? The work ethic I bring, the work I produce, the relationships I form, and the friendships that I bond with, right?
Mhm.
That's what I bring. That's what I can control. I can't control that I'm a woman and I can't control that I'm brown.
Yeah.
So, that's why I don't like living in my marginalized identities. I'd rather push on and show you what's beyond that.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I see
Yeah,
what you mean.
that's why I see beyond
So
that.
I think I touched on this in like one of the last episodes of like, besides like at Salisbury, I had the chance of walking around like with this white man and like walk around the campus. We did like a campus cleaning, just to check to see if like the campus was safe at night, what's not safe, spot areas, any lights or trimming or whatever that may be. And during this conversation we were just talking about Trump, what it means to be white in America, being a minority in America, and we start touching on like
I
affirmative
really do
action.
hate talking about Trump.
No, I'm not going to talk about Trump, but like talking just about affirmative action. And like
Okay.
that's where we brought up the point of like when he was like, so you understand like affirmative action? I'm like, yeah, 100%. He was like, so you understand that like, you're getting a leg up. And I was like, hold on, that's where you're wrong.
Right.
And that's when he was speaking on that. And I was like, you know what? Um, you owe us for what you did to our people and what has happened afterwards, the years after. Just because slaves
Right.
were freed, look at what we're dealing with between redlining, everything like that exists. So that's why I looked at him and I was like, you owe me. I was like, I know that I should get the leg up when I apply for a job because you have to fulfill a quota. You know why that exists? Because you weren't fulfilling that. They weren't hiring us because of the color of our skin.
Number one, yeah, like I'm not
So
about
then
that
that's
life.
where I,
I'm absolutely not about that life because you owned people at a time in your life. Like,
yeah.
sit down.
Yeah. So then that's why I say like when he looked at me, I was like, yeah, you owe us, like you owe us the opportunity for us to come in and have a job, a leg up because we fill your diversity quota.
Right, but
So then
not
that's why I
only
say
do
you should
you
have pride and you should, not that you don't have pride, but you should hold that like, okay, I understand the color spin, I understand this what you see me as, but that's why I told the man at the same time. I said you're gonna hire me, and if you hire me just because of I'm a fill your quota, that's not all I'm gonna prove to you because I'm gonna prove to you my work ethic. I'm gonna prove to me the
Oh, well,
quality of work that comes
absolutely.
from that.
Do
And
you know
that's
how
what I think
many
you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Do you know how many times I was told it's like, oh, it's because you're a woman. Oh, it's
Yeah. I
because
remember. I
you're
remember when you got
Hispanic.
into Rowan, they were
Yeah,
saying
and
that.
people in my program and
Yeah.
at RCBC didn't get into
Yeah.
Rowan. So,
They're still good guys, but those comments are wrong.
right, and it's
Yeah.
just things you don't know. And I'm not black. I'm Hispanic. My
Mhm.
parents are immigrants from Ecuador. So, but still, we face that same adversity, and
Yo, why you having trouble with that word,
I
son?
don't know.
You haven't dealt
Um,
with enough adversity in your life to say that. That's it's like that.
um, But yeah, so this is the other thing. I need you to acknowledge my color.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want you to treat me.
Okay. I see what you're saying. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I don't want you to treat me how you think you need to treat me
Treat
to
me
make me.
differently.
This is the other thing. Like, I don't need no man to uplift me, and I
Mhm.
don't need no
Mhm.
nobody.
Yeah.
Like, oops, too bad. I already know I was good enough.
Yeah.
And that goes back to
Unapologetic.
go.
What's that quote you like? Unapologetic. Isn't that one of your quotes you like?
I don't know.
That's one of those quotes you like. You always write everywhere.
Right. I don't know. Right now, it's slipping my mind, but it's hard because you do struggle with that because you are constantly reminded. Like I said the same thing, like I don't know enough, I'm not good enough, like that
What
does
was
go
that?
through my
What did you
head.
say that was that you felt like you were dealing with what was it like imposter syndrome, like
Imposter
you, so you were
syndrome,
dealing,
right?
okay.
It's
I
just
feel like
like,
that's funny. That's something that exists in like all the time. And when I'm working in higher education, it's like I feel like just an imposter. Like I don't know everything and like I don't have all the answers, and so people look at me to have all the answers and I don't. So
not just
that's
the
funny.
answers, but just like, are you really here as a brown
Oh,
girl?
okay, I see what you're saying.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and
I
I
have
thank
imposter. Go
God
ahead.
you do.
I have imposter syndrome in life though. I feel like there's a lot of times in life where I'm just like, I have, I'm comfortable. I have nice things. I'm doing what I need to do, and I have imposter syndrome of like when I see my family that's still like in a
Right.
position where like they still need help.
And
Like they're
that's
not doing
what's
the
that called,
best stuff.
survivor's guilt.
Yeah, like I have that where I look at my all my friends from Philly, like none of them graduated from high school. I'm the only one that graduated from high school, and I was going to college to get my next degree and graduate with a master. So it's like I have that guilt of like, damn, like look where I come from, and like that guilt of like, shit, I made it, and now I'm like looking at my brothers and like, you guys got to make it. Like I don't want to be the only one with like nice things. You know what I mean? If I were to
Mhm.
have a nice house or a beach house or a nice car, like I don't want to
Yeah,
pull up and
cuz you
like
want
feel like
your
I'm shitting on you.
community.
Yeah,
Right.
I want everyone to come with me. I
I'm from
want
Beverly.
everything. Yeah. I want everyone to
Like,
come with me. So like I
right.
deal with that on a daily of like people look at me like, oh, he's better than me. Like look, he wears chains, he looks like that. I'm like, no, like in no shape or form. Like when you
Yeah,
look at
no.
me, like you all you see is this glitter and glam, whatever like that. But you don't see
Oh,
the
you're
dirt.
so glittering
Oh
glam.
my gosh, it's just like cool. But you don't see all the dirt that I have went through to get
Right.
to this point. So that's where I deal with like the survivor guilt. Like, you know what? Strip all this off. Like, if I were to go talk to
His
kids,
girl got him that sweater. That's what he's wearing.
who put you on the sweater? Oh, okay. Just so you know, it's essentials. Like, who put you on?
That
Like,
was for you, Wiley.
who put you on? Like just that stuff like that. Like, dealing with that survivor's guilt all the time. Like,
Right.
the people I come in contact with.
Yeah, and I'm grateful to have had those opportunities in college as well, right? Because kudos to Rowan for trying
Yeah.
at least to
Yeah,
have
yeah.
different programs and different, my department head was a woman. I did have a professor who was a woman. Like, it was nice seeing that.
And you got the opportunity to like see like you traveled with at Rowan like free. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got the
Not
opportunity.
free, man. Did I work hard?
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, you
No,
didn't just do
yeah.
like, and you weren't just an engineer student at Rowan. Like, you made sure you got involved, like, you know, first generation, like the first gen
Yeah.
program. Like, you were a guest speaker there. And every time you are involved in something, you make an impact in that in itself. You know, like, that's where like, there's one aspect as a woman, like, you know, everyone always says, you know, Malik, you were impactful. Like, you made a difference. Like, thank you for what you do. But like,
Right.
for
For
me
us,
seeing
it's like
that,
nothing.
yeah,
Right?
for us, we
That's
don't see that.
crazy.
But within each other, it's like I was like, when I went to, I still think about this day. Like, when I went to the first generation, I wasn't able to go when you spoke. But afterwards, like, everyone coming up to you and everyone telling me like, Malik, you're lucky. Like, she just killed that shit. And I always know like she's gonna have the room crying. She's gonna cry.
Oh my God, we ugly cried. It was bad. I was
So-
like, yo, I'm an ugly crier. I'm sorry.
I knew she was gonna cry, but to see that, like, that's where I
Right.
find like, I'm like, oh my God, like, all right, like, I'm not just the one. Luckily, I found someone that wants to make a difference in the world in their own way. Like, we're not both, like, we're educators within ourselves. We're talking to people, but you don't want to do it through the schooling system. You want to do it through environmental work. You know, giving back to these communities,
Humanitarian work.
humanitarian work.
Right.
So like, that's like, it was an aspect in the relationship that, like, I love to see. That I was like, oh shit, like, all right, luckily this is a person who has values. Like, that's it.
Right.
Who has values in this
and
world.
motivation and
Yeah.
goals. That's crazy that you say that, because you ask me what I do and I'm like, oh, nothing. You know, like, ugh, like, I just work.
Yeah.
Or, what did you do during college? Not really, right? Like, I just
Yeah,
try
it's
to
true,
I
like,
just try to pass my classes, but like, you'll ask other people.
There's not a
or
lot of people that can say they went to India and helped build, you know, a water system in India while they were working in college, and then actually went to go see its fruition and do it. You know what I
Right.
mean? So like, you made an impact to a town while you were in college, and you didn't just like, you know, working with Engineers Without Borders. Like, that's something that you did like on the side. Like, you decided to be involved in that and put a lot of time into
Yeah,
that.
I took it as class credits, because thank God that was offered, because I can't imagine having to do
Yeah.
it just on the side. But for sure, and you saying that just brought up that emotion of like, we really are out here and like not giving ourselves credit.
Yeah.
Like, all that we've been through.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Like, literally starting from the bottom. And I think you might have had a little rougher growing up and everything, because like, I had everything I ever wanted,
Yeah.
everything I ever need. Like, if I could ask for something and I had an A on my report card, which I always did, I was getting it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had food, I traveled, I went on vacation, I got new clothes,
Yeah.
I did whatever I wanted, right? And of course things change and grow up, but
Yeah.
but like, we really did that, like, my parents were immigrants.
in itself, yeah.
Like, we weren't supposed to be here. How
Mhm.
wild is that my children are gonna, or my child is gonna look back on our history and be like, my mom was the first one to, besides my parents who obviously established these roots,
Yeah.
like, my mom was the first
In our
American
family.
generation, right?
Yeah.
And I always like to say I'm Ecuadorian American, because Ecuador blood runs through my veins.
Yeah.
America did not build me strong.
Yeah.
My parents did.
Yeah.
But like, for them to be able to say that, and then for us to have that opportunity to create something that we didn't
Yeah.
have, that generational wealth,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
And I always love to say that I'm rich in experiences,
Mhm.
and I don't need to be rich in money, because money comes and goes.
Oh no, honey.
I got a stack in my back that I could spend right now,
Give me some.
and it
I'd
wouldn't
rather
make
have,
a difference.
I would have money than experiences. I ain't gonna lie.
Don't, Malik.
I ain't gonna lie to you. Like,
No.
with the money
we still
comes
need
experience.
to let Malik mature and get to that point in his
With
life.
money comes experience.
And it definitely does. And that's because you didn't have that growing up. So I did.
Yeah.
So that's where we, again, have different outlooks and see things differently.
Yeah,
but
100%.
I see you, and just in the time frame of us being together, I am so incredibly
Yeah.
proud. You know, people ask me like, "Oh, how's Malik? What's going on?" I'm like, "He's doing great. He's getting his master's. You know, like he's becoming the man he wants to be.
Mhm.
You work, you you know, you're an older brother. Like you dedicate that time. You know, you have great relationship with my family. Like you've
Mhm.
become part of that, but it's seeing us actually accomplish everything that we
Yeah.
set ourselves to. Like we're
Yeah.
24 and to a lot like that to me is like I'm like, oh my god, I'm 24. It's my golden year. Like I thought I'd be in a different place.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought I'd be, I don't
Yeah.
know, running the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in my corner I am, you know, and
Yeah.
like our family is so proud of us. Like
Mhm.
it's so nice to sometimes hear and touch back and it's just like you can't feel it right now because you're living through it.
Living it, yeah. But when
Right.
you look back, I mean, even within that, like within our relationship, like when we look back and we're like, yo, it's not a lot of people that can say like they started dating in high school, and they're still dating until a certain amount of years later, and that in itself is an accomplishment.
Right.
Like we don't celebrate, like we'll do things here and there to like go out and stuff like that, but we don't sit there and be like, okay, like we made this far, like it's an accomplishment in itself. We had our rough periods, we have our rough times, but we look what we have become and look what we have created. Like we have created a system, we have created a community within ourselves, and like a
Yeah.
long lasting
Yeah.
royalty that we're looking to pass down within generational wealth. And like we have sat and like this is another aspect that I want to put on to like for future couples and things like that to understand like when you're out there and you're thinking of like what your life is going to be like, we never got in the way of what each other is going to be like. We
Mhm.
never said, okay, Kat, you can't do this because I'm doing this, or you can't do this. So we've always like taken the
You have
time.
to put yourself first,
Yeah, but we've
right?
taken the time now. Now is where we're in a point of like, all right, things are getting serious, more serious than what it is. We have to think about the future, where our career is taking us, where the places we're gonna live. But we also take the time to be like sit down and have genuine conversation of like what our goals are in life. Like what do we want to achieve in life? All right, those are your goals. These are my goals.
Mhm.
Okay, I know next is I want to check this one next off. Yo, I want to start beginning working on this next thing. To whereas we talked about, our key thing now is generational wealth. Like I think our main focus is now like, bringing wealth to ourselves, which comes with generational wealth. You can't have generational wealth without bringing wealth to yourself.
Right.
Um, and creating and manifesting this because, we just watched a podcast with like I Am Athlete. And one of the craziest aspects that one of the guys stated on the podcast, and he's like, what is it? Like I would say like a financial advisor. He is one of the biggest black financial advisor companies like on the growth right now. And he was talking about generational wealth. He's like when we discuss wealth and things like that, he's like in the black community like they're all NFL players. So he's like when you got your money, where does your money go? And we always say he was like up. Like we always send our money up like to our parents. Like we started helping our parents out. And he's like now in the white family, where does money go? And he was like down. And he's like that's the difference. That's where generational wealth begins. It's like we have to recognize that like yeah we help our family, we help our parents, like, and that's just something that's in all of us minorities as a whole. Like you passing down for your family, like who are immigrants, you giving back and be like not that I owe you, but you came here to make a better place generational after you. Like they took that leap of faith. So now it's our turn to take that leap of faith and pass it up, but also establish ourselves to pass it back down. And like those are goals that we take to achieve within each other and establish this like kingdom within itself. And I think like as a woman, like that's something that I seen a woman do is like not put pressure on me, but I say this for my dad too, like not put pressure on me, but be like, okay, hold yourself to a standard. Like luckily
Mhm.
I already had that, like where I held myself at a standard and just every day I would walk. But with a strong woman is they'll hold you at a standard of like you can't be down here. And when I say that, I don't mean just like you need to have money, you need to do this for me, you need to do this, but hold yourself at a standard of like you represent me the same way I was representing you. And that's what I say, like you did well. It was like
Yeah.
I never had to worry like she's not representing me. Like she's out in the streets, she's not doing good work, like she's being stupid. Like I never had to worry about that. I was like, I know if I'm not paying attention, like just like not like a parent, but like if I hear a professor talking to you, I know she like a professor's like, yo, thank you so much. Like you're close with your professors, things like that. Like seeing that I have a woman who like is respectable and does good work. That's all could I ever ask for. Because besides that, it's like, what is our name? Like, how could I say one day I'm going to marry you and change your name to Howard if I don't feel like you even
Can
carried
we
yourself?
hyphenate my
You're wildin', bro.
name? You see your machismo?
That's not machismo. That's not machismo at
That's
all.
part of my story. My last name. Catherine
Goodbye.
Veronica Villasis.
Goodbye. Howard, take that off. But yeah, so then within that, I think that I wanted to understand like, um, being a woman, in the working world, you graduate from college, you have a man now. What was one of your biggest lessons that you learned, within that, like within encompassing all of that? What was one of the biggest lessons you learned?
We're in different places in our life,
Hmm.
which makes it really difficult to kind of have that, like you said, that same bar, that same expectation, or I'm doing this, so I need you to do that. I can't
Yeah,
ask that from you right now, right?
yeah,
I'm getting paid. Like, I have full-time job, I'm getting paid, and I'm making money.
yeah,
You're on a stipend.
yeah.
Um, so I think one of my biggest lessons is taking you for where you are in your life, and then making sure I'm taking care of both of us, because that's what I want for us in the future,
Yeah.
right? And then not just monetary, but I mean, and you step up, and you're very good at attention to detail and gifts, and just making sure that I feel loved and things like that, right?
I think that's important to pick up on, like the love languages, how we speak about, like, and even reevaluating those often. Like we take a time to, like, go back and like actually like redo the test because things change in relationships. So like
Right.
we take the, if you haven't taken the love language test, and that's important because you'll understand like, okay, my love language is words of affirmation, gift
Gifts.
giving, and there's a bunch, like, was it touch, time, like spending time with them.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them. To whereas like she has to understand mine, and it's important that I understand hers.
Because I give love how I like to receive love.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not good at it.
yeah, so then that's where it changes. You like, you'll be like, okay, like a lot of men, I would say, like with their women, they're like, they're so used to their women just are the ones that constantly need, and the man is just like left in the wild and like left with no one fulfilling what they want in the relationship.
Mm.
So with doing that, like you understand, like, okay, this is what my man needs. This is what he needs in the relationship as well. He needs words of affirmation, whether that be like, I like it cut G, or like that fit is fire today or something. You know what I mean? Or if
Mhm.
it's like, like you surprised me with this hoodie, like you see, I already had the hoodie. I love the hoodie. I was bragging about liking the hoodie, and I wanted another one, so you just automatically did. That's a meaningful gesture for you that I love and that I appreciate, the same way as me taking the time to rub your back for 30 hours of the day. Like it's something that, like, that fulfills your bucket, and that fulfills your word of affirmation, or
My
what
touch.
your touch, and things like that.
Yeah. I'm really big on the touch. Like when we're just sitting there,
Yeah,
I need you to just
yeah,
touch. Like,
I
where's your
touch.
hand?
Yeah.
Right. What were you saying before that?
So I have no idea.
Yeah, I
You
forget.
can't ever just be like, you can't say that, like, where were we at? It just goes.
Um, but yeah, I think I was just saying, as a couple, and what I've had to learn. You
Yeah, yeah,
asked me my
yeah.
biggest
Lesson.
lesson,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right.
and I think it's just that I feel like we were at different points, and it was so weird because we graduated high school at the same time, but I went to community college.
Different routes. Yeah.
You were um commuting, and then you went full time at Rowan,
Mhm.
and then I transferred, but I had to do extra time. So you graduated before me. I
Yeah.
graduated a year after you. Then you started your master's program, and then I graduated, got a job, and started my master's program. And now you're gonna graduate, and I'm still in school.
Yeah.
Like, we've been in such a thing, but I think it's been that. I think it's been letting you be where you need to be, supporting you through that, and then also knowing how I can not only focus on me, but also together as a
Yeah.
couple.
Yeah. 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 No, I agree. I think that's one of my lessons that I learned with being in a relation with you is like, um managing each other, the time that we had to put into each other, and also being intentional. I think that was one of the base lessons of everything I do should be intentional. Like, luckily I'm one of those people that, like, the little things is what matters to me. Like I sit there and like I'll plan ahead, like, okay, I want to do this for her, I want to get her this. I'm constantly thinking of ways to bring oomph into the relationship, like to add a little spark into our relationship. 6 years in, people that are married are always like, you have to spice up the relationship, not just in the bedroom, but also like, day to day life. You know what I mean? You could be getting into the routine, And that's what would freak me out all the time that we were in a relationship, to where like, and I was
Oh, we got in
unhappy,
such a
and
routine.
I was unhappy all the
Yeah.
time, and I was like, I'm not happy because I can't be in a routine. Like there's one thing I can't do, and that may be because growing up, I always went back and forth to my mom and my dad. Like I was never in like a specific routine. Like I did sports, or I would change to a new sport. Like I always needed change. I always need something to come. And I feel like a lot of times that's what happened to a lot of people, is they get caught up in a routine and they hate it, and like they run away from it to look for
Mhm.
something else. So I constantly be like, we have to change. We have to do something different. I can't just come from Salisbury, we go to your job, we eat dinner, and then we go back home and we waste a weekend away. Like we have to plan something. We have to do things. And I feel like that's so important in a relationship, is to constantly just be evolving within your
Right.
relationship. Never
And
stay
it's been
stagnant.
hard with COVID because there's
Yeah.
not much we can really do. And then you're annoying because I'll be like, let's do this. You're like, nah. Or you come and you're on your phone and I'm like, all right, remember
Yeah.
that I said, let's do this.
Yeah.
Like, and we fight back and forth and we try, but I
But
liked,
actively trying, you know what I mean? Like, making
right.
that just like, okay,
Because
I know
sometimes
she
you
doesn't
drove
want,
3 hours and you're
yeah,
tired.
I know she doesn't care for me being on my phone and watching battle rap, to whereas I know like she wants to walk. So
I
we'll,
cannot watch battle rap.
so
Oh my
we'll, so then you, like even yesterday, or 2 days ago, we went for a walk. You know what I mean? I was
And
like,
that wasn't hard. And you make it sound like it's the hardest thing
no, it's not.
in your life.
Okay, well, people you're making it seem like I'm just lazy out here. I say, instead of like, okay, I'm not. I hate walking. Let's go for a run. I'll go for a run with you rather than walking. I'll do 3 mile run
But
with
I
you.
don't want to run.
Exactly. So you see what I'm saying? So there's differences, and like what fulfills your bucket. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but again, like I saw it. I'm like, okay, like I know she wants to go. You gave up. You were like, all right, let's go for a walk. And I was like, and then we ate breakfast. We washed the dishes, and I came upstairs. And you were like, you just were probably just like whatever. And I was like, all right, let's go for a walk. Let's go. And you got the dogs, and we went. You know what I
Right.
mean? But it's understanding, like
And sometimes
a
I'll go by myself.
yeah, and I have no problem. I'm like,
Yeah.
you can go, bro, and then you come back, and you could be the person just to throw it in my face and be like, you
Right.
didn't call me, da da da. But you go for a walk, you come back, you're like, all right, what do you want to do? And then we figure something else, and watch a movie, or
Right. I'm
whatever.
like, I'll be like, okay, take your time to do what you have to do for the next 30 minutes when I
Yeah,
come back from my walk. Because you're big, like, if you lay down and you're watching something, like, you're like, all right, let me just finish this. And it's an hour, 2 hours long. I'm like, okay. Like, what do I do for these two
yeah.
hours?
But
But,
it's constantly evolving within a
right.
relationship. All right. So to bring it to a head,
To a head? Oh, yes. Okay.
don't try me,
Like
bro.
a pimple?
Don't try me, bro. Um,
Can I
what is
pop your
some
pimples?
what is some advice that you would like to just leave the audience with in this segment of In Women We Trust going forward?
Some advice. I don't know. I feel like I've had to hear it recently when I'm at my breaking point and I can't call Malik because he's at his breaking point with me.
Hmm.
I'll call Sess. And or my sister. I'll text my sister, but I don't like talking to my sister and my mom because it stresses me out that they're stressed out that I'm doing too much. They're like, "Can you come home?" I'm like, "I have to do this. Like,
Yeah,
I have to do this, and
yeah,
I'm sorry it's midnight."
yeah,
But every once in a while, I'm able to talk to Sess. She's like, "Cosita preciosa, you telling me?" Um, that it's temporary.
there's certain things in life that you may be going through is only temporary.
That they're temporary, and tomorrow is a new day.
Hmm.
To just take a breath, be grateful for what you have right now, and I've Sess has introduced a lot of different practices in our life,
Yeah, yeah,
meditation,
yeah.
um, going on walks,
Hmm.
having conversations, taking the time to talk, yoga, do a little bit for you. Like it's hard to find the time. And trust me, I know I work a full-time job. I go to a full school full time and I'm doing research on top of that. So like I have 14, 16-hour days where I'm like, I'm dead. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
But it's to take whatever you need. If it's 3 minutes, 5 minutes, walk around. Like one of my supervisors also gave me this advice, like go look at a tree.
Yeah.
Like life outside of you, nature, like
Yeah, yeah.
feel the sun.
Hmm.
So my advice for personal care, and then I'll say like relationship wise, but it's temporary
Hmm.
and you'll be able to get through it just like you've gone through
Yeah.
everything at this point in your life.
Hmm.
And give it your all, end each day with that being that. Like, nothing else can get done, and nothing that had to get done didn't get done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, that's just that, right?
Yeah.
You remember, like, I would freak out. I'm like, I have this assignment due, like, I have to do it right now. But if it didn't get done, like, damn, do it tomorrow.
Yeah, it didn't get done. I think that's funny. Before you remember to go into the advice for relationships, I think that was so funny how like we were so different in college, like and still are, like to whereas like you were like so uptight, like you're stressed, you constantly are like battling against a deadline, battling, but that's just how your degree has been. To whereas me, I'm like, yeah, it just didn't get done, like or it like it's gonna get done, like I
Or
can't.
you'll prep weeks in advance
Yeah,
and you're good to go.
to where like yeah, I'll work on something that's due 2 weeks from now, like a week and next. I know myself in that moment,
Yeah.
and it's so different how
Yeah,
we are in that
it's
second.
so hard for me though, because
Yeah.
my weeks go by and it's just like I blink and it's Monday again.
Mm.
So, but whatever, right? You just get through it and then just take that second, and it's temporary. You'll come out of it and stronger on the other side. And then if you don't, well, then get stronger somehow.
Okay, then your relationship advice
Relationship
coming from a
advice
woman's perspective. Yeah,
from a woman.
give advice for a man and a woman within a
Okay.
relationship.
So for women, I think it's hard when you're young and when you have different backgrounds or
Mm-hmm.
experience, life, family,
Yeah.
relationships. But you need to put yourself first,
Mm.
right? Like, beyond, before any person,
Mm-hmm.
especially like someone who you're gonna decide to commit to and be in a relationship, and somebody who you're gonna invest in. Because I think we said a lot of that. Like, if you didn't have a full cup and you were just emptying into mine, like,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't have lasted,
Mm.
right? So that's definitely a difficult part. But you need to have, like, you need to be able to fill your cup on your own too.
Mm.
Because I feel like it's it's hard, especially when you're young. Like, you don't know what you want, you don't know who you want to be with, but you have to experience it and everything. But you have to give yourself those boundaries, right? And set those boundaries. And like I said, when we first started dating, it's just like, what we're not going to do is this.
Yeah. Yeah.
What we can try to do is this. Like, you have to give yourself that opportunity to grow, and not just stay stagnant, and not just be like below somebody,
Yeah.
or give, and then not be able to hold yourself straight up.
Mm-hmm.
And then for like a man, I would say, I don't know, it's weird, like, it all depends wherever you are in your life. But make sure, and I think this goes both ways, what I said before and what I'll say now, like, just make sure that you're with somebody who you can grow with. And
Mm-hmm.
for, if anything, it like is just supportive.
Yeah.
Like, going through life alone, that shit's hard,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like, not having somebody to talk to,
Mm-hmm.
or not having a friend. I think that's another thing. Like, we might have not been best friends for years before dating, but we definitely have a friend
Yeah. Yeah.
within each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we can say we're best friends,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
people are like, who do you hang out with? I'm like, Malik. Like, that's
For
my
a lot of
friend.
people, it's weird. Like people be like, "Oh, that's just your boyfriend." But, like, who do you hang out with? And it's like, no, like that's my best friend. Like regardless of, like,
Yeah.
there's times where I don't even think of you as my girlfriend, like or like that. It's just like a being, like a coexistence within each other.
No, yeah, for sure. I definitely felt that too. We're just like, oh yeah, that's my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you do any? No, that's my best friend. That's who I want to do it with.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I love Malik.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that would be it.
Yeah. So within that, I would say thank you for coming on, and thank you for being the first guest on in Women We Trust. I wouldn't want it no other way. And I appreciate you for being there and for being the backbone, but also not being the woman behind me, but by my side as I walk everyday to day life. I can't wait to see what the next couple years having in store for us within the next even 6 months.
Yeah.
What that entails within itself. And I think we have to do another episode on our anniversary and just do like a flashback Friday of like what has led us up to our 6 year anniversary
Yeah,
going
I'm
forward.
excited. I'm excited to have these conversations, because we obviously have conversations, but we
Yeah,
don't record them. Or only those who are close to us
understand. Yeah.
share those
Yeah.
experiences. So I'm definitely excited. Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm grateful to be part of this and like to be able to support you because this is yours,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like um I help you get there, but I'm proud and I'm excited for you to work through it, gain your
Yeah.
audience, get the feedback, the
Yeah.
criticism and
Mm-hmm.
everything. But I'm definitely grateful for you. I
Mm-hmm.
love you and I can't wait to come back.
All right, love you, Ma. Um, Thank you for those that are watching. Please go like and subscribe.
And comment if you want me to open my own channel with
No,
ASMR.
not at all. So comment below any topics you would love to see within and women we trust. Follow us on Instagram at we trust underscore podcast. Um, and I hope that you guys are enjoying the content. If you know anyone out there that would be an amazing guest, please let us know. Email is also within the bio within we trust underscore podcast bio. You can find us on all the streaming platforms on YouTube. We also have a sneak peek and a really deep conversation that's going to come out following this episode. So get this to a certain amount of views, and we'll post that as well because that is a very deep conversation that goes into everyday life of what we go through um, as one. I appreciate it.
Also, be sure to comment and give your feedback because
Yeah,
Malik
for
is
sure.
willing to grow and he's new to this, so he's excited to give you a little bit more of what you guys want to see
Yeah,
or what you guys want to hear, what you like and don't like.
yeah, for sure. Thank you guys, and with those we trust.